Hidden in the mountains of southeast San Diego lies the remnants and ruins of the past, where the world was at war and the US government was acquiring many pieces of land on the coast around the country, setting up lookout points to catch early enemy attacks, with World War II in full swing. So today, we're going to check out the abandoned Camp Minnewawa World War II military bunkers to get a glimpse into that time period, and we're going to use two wheels to see it all. So the bunkers are located in the Sycamore Canyon Preserve and the Otay Mountain Wilderness. There's actually a couple different ways to access the bunkers in a vehicle, but since this is a bike channel, I only thought it was fitting to use what was considered the most difficult and least car-friendly road, which is the northern part of the Otay Mountain Truck Trail. Our adventure started by parking outside the Thousand Trails Pio Pico campground, and my wife and I entered using the Otay Mountain Trailhead, which is gated and is locked to vehicles. I have read that the rangers can give you access if you wish to use a vehicle, but since I couldn't verify this, it just might be easier to use the main entrance in Dulzura if you wish to drive instead of hiking or biking. Immediately, you're hit with your first steep hill that feels like it's just going straight up. Not only is this incredibly steep, but it's a great precursor on what to expect for the next 7 miles. So for our little adventure, my wife and I decided to bring a couple of e-bikes to help with the climbing. Both have rear hub motors, fat tires, and comfortable seating positions. And we chose to use e-bikes instead of regular bikes for two reasons. One, I've never been on this road before, so I wasn't sure how steep it was. And two, I've read that in order to ride up this road with a regular bike, you need to give yourself a lot of time and you better be in great shape. So the climb itself was absolutely stunning, and it gave me views as far as my eye could see. I could see the Pacific Ocean to the west and Mexico to the south. The road itself was pretty lonely though, and hardly has any other vehicles on it. And while riding up the mountain, I only saw 3 cars the whole time. So just be wary that if you do have a mechanical, you get injured, or you run out of water, you have a long walk back to your car, and there's not a lot of people driving by to help you. But after a grueling 7 miles and over 2,700 feet of climbing, we finally reached the bunkers. Something to note though, is that the bunkers are not the highest point. But if you want to get to the Otay Mountain summit, it's about a half mile before the bunkers, where you have to climb a steep access road to the radio towers. I do recommend doing this, since you'll be rewarded with a 360-degree view of some of the best views in San Diego. When you get to the site, there's a small building at the entrance, and if you walk 50 yards north of that, you get to the bunker site. The land that Camp Minnewawa bunkers sit upon was acquired by the US government in 1942. The government purchased a total of 3,570 acres of land. Sitting at 3,000 feet above sea level, the concrete bunkers had coastal views in the hopes of catching early attacks. The bunkers were used to house radar units and diesel generators that provided power, and the campsite housed the personnel that operated the site. With World War II ending in 1945, and the government not needing the site anymore, the site was abandoned in 1947 and returned to GR Daly, where a private campsite was later built, and you see what still remains today. At the top section are 2 small buildings. The first being the bigger of the 2 buildings, that has a tiny room that leads to another small room that has the remnants of an old bed and holes in the wall that connect to the outside. The weird part is that there's 2 prison-style doors, which makes me wonder if this was some type of holding cell, but for who exactly, I'm not too sure. There's a ton of trash and graffiti, but other than that, the building has held up remarkably well. The second is the smaller of the 2 buildings, and it's really too small to be a prison cell, and it still has the prison style doors. To me it almost looks like a storage room of some sort. And if you hike down to the bottom section, this is the actual bunker itself. It is expansive, quite creepy, and appears to be a place where mouth breathers show off their art skills and expansive vocabulary. The first room is pretty big. It has what appears to be 3 chimneys on the right hand side of the room. Through there we go into a smaller room. One weird thing is, as if there's concrete slabs with space in between each, instead of just a real flat room. I'm not sure why it's designed this way, but if anyone happens to know this, please let me know in the comments. Next, what appears to be 2 tiny bedrooms for sleeping. And here's the last room, which appears to be almost as big as the first room when we entered. It's hard to imagine what it's like to live in these bunkers day in and day out, miles from anyone, looking at the beautiful ocean waiting for an enemy to attack. So I have to say, this was a very interesting and fun place to visit. It's just a pity that some people who visit feel the need to leave their trash and spray paint over the relics. But even with all the litter and garbage, there's no denying the beauty and magnificence of the bunkers, and the glimpse they give us into the time of war and the past.